Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Penapple and today I am building this beautiful Bayside family home. I keep wanting to say starter home. But if you're interested in this build, you can download it off the gallery. My origin ID is penappleYT. Woo, okay. Spoiler alert, this is, I think, the fourth time I've attempted this, so we'll see how it goes. I have concerns. But this ended up being a 6-bedroom, 8-bathroom home, which is ginormous, especially compared to my last build. But it's been a while since I've done a family home, and they tend to be pretty popular. And once I really sort of get into the swing of it, I do really enjoy them. They can be a little bit daunting at first, though. Or actually, no, at first they're really enjoyable, just when I'm kind of freestyle building things without any cares in the world. And then I look around and I have 6 bedrooms to furnish and 8 bathrooms and 2 living rooms, apparently. And everything just gets so out of hand. But I did really enjoy this build. I love how the architecture turned out. I love these sort of like hexagonal bits sticking out. I based it very loosely off of a build I saw on Pinterest, and it evolved from there, and I'm just loving it. But one of the really cool things about this home is it is cats and dogs and base game only, except for there are some pillars I use which are from Get Together, but in my opinion those should be base game. And Get Together's been out for a while now, and also it's very non-essential part to the build, so it's cats and dogs and base game asterisk and then that whole long explanation. But yeah, I will be doing a Strangeville and base game only build at some point. If you don't know, Strangeville is the latest game pack that is coming out. I'm very excited. I have early access. I technically could be playing it right now, but I wanted to get this build out first before kind of all the other stuff happens. And also, I am right in the middle of basically what is a 3-week long finals week, and I am dying. So I don't even know how much I don't even know when, even with early access, I don't know when the build will be going out, and so that's always a pity. Anyways, moving on. In my last build, I had ended off by saying that I hadn't had time to finish one story I've written down where I said that I had forgotten the moon. And I asked if anyone was interested in hearing it in this story, and then somebody commented that they were quite intrigued by my story, and my immediate reaction was, oh no. Because now it has to live up to that expectation. And I'm like, I don't know if the story is interesting enough to be held in suspense for like over 2 weeks and then finally told by me. I don't know if the story is good enough, but we're gonna try it. So basically, I think a month ago, there was a lunar eclipse, and it was in my area, and my boyfriend texted me and he was like, oh, the lunar eclipse looking really awesome, you should look out your window and like look at it, and I'm a pretty sciencey gal, so is my dad, and I have a story about that too now. But I was kind of raised to really like space and all that stuff, and so I was like, oh yeah, it sucks, I can't see the moon from my window, and it's like negative, or it's not negative, but it's below freezing, so that's 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that's not the freezing point, but that's about the temperature it was. And it was nighttime, and I was already in my PJs, and I was like, it sucks, but I guess I'll just have to skip on this one since I can't see it from my window. And fast forward like a week, like a whole week, mind you, and I'm texting a friend, and she tells me that she completely forgot about the eclipse, that it was happening, and she was really bummed that she missed it because she would have liked to have seen it. And I was like, oh yeah, like I wish I could have seen it, but I couldn't see it from my window. And then I stopped and I was like, wait a second. And I go in this evening and I look out my window, and there's the moon just sitting there in plain sight. Completely forgot that I definitely can see it from my window quite well. And it was just such a Penelope moment that I was like, oh. It was so bad. So I forgot the moon. And that's mostly the story. We've now got the majority of the structure done, and that I feel like maybe I should have talked through that part, because this was honestly my favorite part, was just this very beginning part of building it. I loved the sort of Juliet balcony in the very front of the house, especially because now where we're at, it's definitely the point where I do this thing, and very many people do this thing, where they will build the front of the house and it'll look really pretty, and then they'll turn the camera to look at the back side of the lot, and they're just like, oh, shoot. What am I supposed to do with this? And so I had this big like L-shaped section, and like I kind of wanted to keep the hexagonal motif, but like I wasn't quite sure, and so things turned out okay. It was a little bit rough, especially this just back porch area where I ended up doing a double porch, but it ended up working, so I'm okay with that. I mean, it also bugs me that this isn't like, it's uneven. So even from the front, if you look at it, like it's kind of uneven, and that makes me, yeah, but it's okay. It's fine. Oh my gosh. Okay. So my dad, a great way to start a story. He also is just such a science nerd. Like he bought a telescope, and it was so fancy that it made the checkbook bounce, which is not a good thing. And he definitely should have told my mother before he bought it. But I'm just saying that to give you an idea of what kind of nerd he is. And so he got this, it's huge. I swear, like the lens is like bigger than my head. It's ginormous, and it's really cool. And like growing up, we would do the thing like where there was a solar eclipse, and we'd do like the pin in the box so that you can look at it and you don't have to wear the sunglasses because you're not looking directly at it, and you can still see the kind of effect. And it was just fun. Growing up, it was pretty cool. But then they had the total solar eclipse that happened, I guess, about half a year ago now. I don't understand any concepts of time anymore now that I'm in grad school. But my parents traveled all the way to Oregon to be, oh gosh, I forget what it's called. It's the peak of something. I'm not sure. But it's like where it's actually fully eclipsed. Because for some people, it was only a partial eclipse. But if you're at a very specific location in Oregon, you got to see the whole thing. And so my dad, being the nerd that he is, he looked up when the next solar eclipse was going to be, and he marked it in his calendar, and he must have done this like a couple years ago. And so like he looks ahead and he sees it like a year ahead, and he's like, now is the time. And he like booked a hotel and everything like a year in advance before the solar eclipse. And then when it was getting closer and the hype was starting to build, the hotel called him to be like, oh, I'm sorry, your reservation, we can't, like uphold it anymore. And the reason why is because they wanted to charge somebody else more money for that reservation. And my dad like called them, and in his best middle-aged baby boomer white man voice was like, no, I know exactly why you're doing this. You are not like conning us out of a hotel room. Like, I know there's a solar eclipse, and it's not your fault that you didn't plan ahead your prices. So yeah, and they had a blast. They were like texting me throughout, and they were just really excited. It was really cute. It was really cute. Sometimes my parents are really cute. A lot of the times really nerdy, and a lot of the times my dad is kind of like yelly and intense and just very opinionated and loud, but sometimes he's really adorable, and that was one of those moments, so I figured I'd share it with you, especially since we were talking about the moon. But we have made it into the interior of this build, and I love this wallpaper. I maybe used it a little bit too much in this build. Before I forget, sorry, I need to make a note of something. There we go. But it's the banana leaf, and then we got it in an update a little bit ago. And when it's in sort of black and white, I feel like it's not as tropical looking, and it's just kind of fun. And I just really love the black and white swatch of it. And so I really incorporated that into this build. I even had my sim do some paintings of it to put on other walls. It ended up going in the bathroom, and I ended up using a lot of like sim made paintings, especially ones that people like, you know, paint from reference in game, and they can paint really cool stuff and just do really cool things with it. And so I will really, that's what I made a note of. I really want to leave the usernames, the origin IDs of the people whose paintings I use. Also, I kind of got into doing some of my own paintings, and so I think I might release that on the gallery as well. Just some fun ones that I'm looking forward to using in my own game, and I feel like you guys would too. One of them's going to be just like a series of like post-apocalyptic, and so I'm so excited for Strangeville to come out so I can like add to that. And I think it'll be really fun. It'll just be like a painting set that anyone can use because it ends up being base game, which is also a really cool thing. I think it ends up being base game. If you paint a picture from reference of custom content, I don't think it's base game. I think it marks it as custom content. I've had that in the past. But if you just paint from anything in the game, then I think it's fine. I had a lot of trouble figuring out what couches to go here because I ran into the Basegame and Cats&Dogs thing. I feel that most acutely the sort of like lack of furniture when it comes to couches. I think when you're just doing base game and one pack only. I didn't feel it so much with beds in this just because we got some pretty amazing beds in Cats and Dogs. They were kind of weird with the swatches. They're kind of limited in that way, but otherwise I really liked it. Also, kitchen clutter. Just because I miss my cutting boards. I miss what has now been called the Penelope treatment, which is putting a couple cutting boards there because I do it in every build that I can do it in. Basically, it's the ones that come from Cool Kitchen. So like whenever anyone asks me like what my favorite stuff pack is, I'm usually say like Laundry Day, but I think in my heart of hearts Cool Kitchen stuff pack might have won me over just because of those cutting boards. I don't know, I just really like cutting boards. That's a weird thing to like and to then discuss liking, but they're pretty amazing. Just a moment of gratitude for cutting boards, I guess. Okay, let's tell another fun story. I flipped it from the story side to that. I have a note card. Then one side has fun stories and the other side has less fun facts about the build. I've been trying to get back into talking about the build a little bit more, but still like really keeping the story strong just because, you know. Anyways, let's talk about more telecommuting because that's my life right now. Like I said, I'm in grad school, and last build I talked about some of the little snafus we've had with telecommuting because it's a lot. But this time, this wasn't really telecommuting per se, but we got an email. My little section of the class that telecommutes, we got an email saying that one of our classes had been canceled. And so our class names are like a bunch of numbers. It didn't actually say the name, and all of us were just tired. And so we all kind of saw the email and just like, that's weird. And we didn't really think about it much until then we went to go check on our Canvas site, which is like the sort of course organization site where they post a whole bunch of stuff. We realized that yes, our material science course is in fact missing. And so I go and contact the IT guy, and he's like, because I just thought it was just missing from Canvas. I didn't realize that we had been completely unenrolled from the class. And so I contact him, and he like then responds to me, and he's like, "This is bad." And it's like in all caps, and I'm like, it's not my fault, but can you fix it? And he's like, "I will try." He's like had to contact other people, and I don't know. I've never been unenrolled unintentionally from a class, and finally when we got re-enrolled, we basically just got an email that was like, "Whoopsie, sorry about that." No explanation. And we're just like, okay, I guess. If you say so. But yeah, so that's not too bad. One of my instructors has gotten really like obsessed with how my class looks on camera, because Seattle can see us in the class. We can't see them. I mean, we can see whoever's lecturing, but we can't see them, and which I think is unfair. But this instructor just seems to think that we don't look like we're paying attention because we're not paying attention. And so, like, oftentimes he will just yell out, just look like you're paying attention. Or my least favorite thing is when something really important is happening in the lecture, he'll go, this is really important. You guys need to know this. Like, do you guys understand this? Do you understand what's happening? And I'm just, like, over, like, sitting there, like, well, I'm trying, but, like, I can't hear the lecture, so no, now I don't understand what's happening because you interrupted. But anyway, it's never usually directed at me. I'm usually pretty good at, like, looking like I'm paying attention and both paying attention. Not this week, though. This week I've just been dying, but, you know, it's just been a week. It's just been a week. Yeah. But yeah, so one of the things that he really doesn't like is he doesn't like when we use a certain door. There's 2 doors in our classroom, and one of them is on camera. And he doesn't like it when we use that door, even though it's the most direct door. He doesn't like it because they can see when we're leaving. And I'm kind of like, well, they can still see us walk off camera, you know? So I don't, you know, and like the most of the time when we get up to leave, it's because we need to pee. It's like, does Seattle think that we don't pee? Because I'm pretty sure that they know that we do. Like, So anyway, so we're not allowed to use that door now. And like, he even went so far as to lock it from the inside. And like, when I discovered that, I went and I unlocked it. And then I was like, you can't do this. This is a fire hazard. And then he responded, we'll just use the other door. And I was just like, that's not how fire works. Okay, that was really loud. Okay. And like, one of my classmates was like, why is this so upsetting to you? You know, I was like, why is it? Because this isn't bothering anyone as much as it's bothering me. Like, other people are kind of like annoyed and like rolling their eyes, but I'm like actively like kind of fighting it a bit. And I realized it's because, one, I do actually care about being a fire hazard, because that is how deaths happen, you know, is if one door is blocked, it's called the bottleneck. And also, what if the door that isn't blocked, and which he hasn't just locked it, he's put chairs in front of it, by the way. What if that's the door that doesn't have the fire and the other door is where the active fire is? And so anyways. So there's that. And then also, I really don't like it when one person wields their power over other people, despite it not making sense, or it then affecting 7 people when before it was only affecting 1. So anyways, that's that's why. And I probably shouldn't be complaining about it too much on YouTube, but nobody pull out the read receipts. Nobody come after me in my life choices. But yeah, you can't let them know that we pee. Okay. So what else? Right now I'm doing one of the 6 bedrooms, and this one turned out really cute. We have basically 2 master bedrooms. 2 master bedrooms, and then there are 2, I think almost all the bedrooms have en-suites. Yeah, they do. Oh my gosh, this house is fancy. Some fancy people living here. I made this little like courtyard area. I guess it's not really a courtyard because it's not open. Like, it has a roof on top of it. What would you call this? Let me know. Also, let me know if you've had any similar, like, just things that don't make sense with school experiences. I'd really like to hear that. I've also been trying to, like, ask you guys more questions because I'm really interested. I love reading your guys' comments. I've gotten a little bit better this year at responding to them. There are a couple from a week old that I haven't responded to, but I will get to them. Promise. So this little area ended oh my god. This little area ended up being like a greenhouse, and I just love how it turned out. There are a lot of spaces in this build that are very like superfluous and don't really serve much of a purpose. Like, this is literally just a room where you would sit. Oh no, I guess you could remove some of the plants and actually have your sim garden. Also, you can like use the bonsai tree in the room. I mean, I haven't tested it, so you might not be able to, but in theory. And then this is like an outdoor dining space, and I thought that looked really cute. And so there's just like a lot to this build, and it took a really long time. but not long enough for me to tell all of my stories, actually. We're like, so I think I'm going to tell my best one right now because, okay, this happened 2 nights ago. So for my apartment, the parking lot that I park in isn't actually owned by the apartment, which stinks. And so I have to get into the apartment through the back way. And the best way to do that is to either walk over this like little field, and it snowed a lot. And so I don't really want to walk in the snow if I don't have to. And so the other way, and it's paved and it has a sidewalk, is if you go through the bike cage. But to get into the bike cage, like when I say bike cage, it's like a room. It's really big. So to get into the bike cage, you have to have a key to both get in and out. The door locks both ways. And so in the back of my mind, whenever I use it, I'm like, oh boy, wouldn't it suck if like I drop my key? Well, fast forward to 2 days ago, I was carrying a lot of groceries, and so I unlocked the door, stepped in, closed the door behind me, and then went to adjust my bags, and I was like, where are my keys? And I was like, okay, don't panic. You didn't hear like them fall. They probably just fell into one of your grocery bags. So I look at my grocery bags and they're not there. And then I look and they're just out of my reach. I tried reaching. And so now, you guys, it's like negative, or it's not negative, but it's 15 degrees here. I keep saying negative. It's not negative 15, but it's really cold. And I am literally locked in a cage outside. I just locked myself in a cage outside and I can't get out. And so like I go to call one of my friends who lives in the apartment and she didn't answer. And I was like, it's okay. You still have 3 more roommates you could try. But luckily, somebody came along and I was like, they exited out of like the building. And I was like, could you help me? And she kind of looks at me and just trapped in this cage like a tiger at the zoo. Oh my God. And she's like, and so she had to she didn't have keys either because she didn't live there. So she had to walk all the way around the bike cage, around the back of it, this really slick spot. And like, I was like, don't hurt yourself. I'm so sorry. And then she like passed me my keys like through the hole. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. And then I managed to get inside, but I was just like, locked myself. It was really bad. Like I wasn't actually panicking because I knew at some point somebody would come help me, but I was just completely reliant on somebody else to come help me because there are signs posted saying, this locks both ways. Make sure you have your key to get in and out. And I still did it. But anyways, we are sort of kind of coming up on the end of the build. No, we have like 4 more minutes. Penelope can count. She's in graduate school. She's doing great. And so I thought I'd tell this other story of my parents being adorable. So my parents are currently in Alaska on vacation because they decided that they didn't get enough of the recent Pacific Northwest snowpocalypse, as people call it, and they wanted to go to Alaska for more snow. Now, actually, they're visiting friends and wanted to see the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights, because they're nerds, like I said. And so the sort of snowpocalypse snowstorm actually gave them the opportunity to test out all of their winter gear that they bought for Alaska because they weren't going on a cruise. They're actually flying out to Alaska. And so I get this text from my mother and it's amazing. And so she says, your dad and I took a walk to try out our yak traps, which I'll explain in a second. And a big newer Cadillac with Florida plates passed us on the road. As we kept walking, we found that it had managed to get up the hill, but then shot across the road and wound up in the ditch with a wheel in the air. And I'm like, oh my God, and so then she says, the yak tracks work really well, by the way. And I'm just like, is this the highlight of the story? And so I'm like, was everyone okay? And my mom was like, 2 younger guys in it came walking down the road towards us, but they didn't say anything. And I'm just like, okay. But now I will explain to you what yak traps are. Not everyone. They're basically they're like tire chains for your shoes. And so basically like it's like adding traction to your boots. And I just love that was what my mom focused on. The yak traps, I can't even say it. The yak tracks work great. It's such a my mom thing to do. I'm just like, her priorities though. It's sort of like the time when I almost drowned in a river and somebody told her and she responded, "Did she get wet?" Or no, I think she said, "Did she drown?" Because she didn't realize it was serious. I love my mom. She is usually fantastic and considerate of other people. But anyways, she also, like, a day after that was like, "Good." I like showed her what my snow boots were and she was like, "Good. I'm sending you some yak tracks to put on them. They make walking a lot steadier." So she really cares, but I still haven't used them. I feel like maybe I should at least once, but they seem like such overkill. It's like, I feel like if I were to put tire chains on my shoes, basically, it would be the equivalent of using an umbrella in Seattle, which is like a huge faux pas. But anyways, we are coming up on the end of this build. My next build will be featuring stuff from the new game pack Strangeville. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too. I hope you guys are all having a really great week. I hope whatever the weather is in your area is treating you nicely. I'm still kind of enjoying the snow. It hasn't been snowing a lot more, but it's just kind of been sitting around and like existing, and it's just love it. It's just kind of nice to see, even if I should maybe be wearing yak tracks. I can't say it. Still can't say it. But anyways, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye. Oh, also like subscribe, I guess, and like and comment. That'd make me happy. Goodbye.